welcome to Mariam Tadros from icare.
Thank you.
And Declan Collins from RTWSA.
Thanks.
Now, you're fresh off stage after talking at the 2024 Personal Injury and Disability Management National Summit. Said it so many times in the last 2 weeks and I still stumble. And it was an excellent presentation. It's about national competency standards, but it's about more than that, isn't it? What were some of the, Mariam, I'll start with you. What were some of the key themes out of your presentation today?
Out of today's presentation really were about what is the premise of national standards and what are the risks and benefits that are available to our industry. The key themes is really that this is not a new conversation. This is a conversation that's been had many, many times, but there is a decisive impetus now and there's momentum now that has grown from icare being able to establish the nation's first scheme-wide professional standards framework, which is coupled with a standardised competency assessment practice, as well as a HR capability protocol, if you like, which is really the career journeys and pathing and accreditation opportunities that need to be par for the course when you have standards there, because unless you are prepared to invest in the learning, the business initiatives and the accreditation opportunities that come with growing a genuine career in this industry, you won't actually be able to maintain that standard, and the industry will continue to experience a transient nature of the workforce rather than people that are attracted to the workforce because they're keen on helping people, but then how are you helping them help others by helping themselves and being part of something that's a lot bigger. Declan, I'll leave you to talk more about the concept of duty of care and professions that have a duty of care and what that could mean in terms of a national standard and what that could afford.
Yeah, sure. So it's I like that term duty of care because I think it's been absent for so long, and I mentioned that, you know, as an industry we're always prone to criticism for the one claim here or the one worker we didn't do the right thing by, or inquiries that are, you know, yet looking for the problems. But I think that the thing that's missing is understanding what is it. It's not just about customer service, but to me it's about that duty of care. And it exists in other organisations and professions. And you know, I use the example of nursing, for example. So absolutely a huge duty of care to patients, to people, and absolutely need a standard, you know, because it's all about public safety and health, and you can't afford to, I suppose, make someone worse or in fact, you know, perhaps interfere with someone's life. But we're probably just a level under that, but we still have a profound impact on people's lives. And I think that's the bit that's kind of, we talk about it, but it's been missing. But I like that term duty of care because we have an absolute responsibility to, whether we call them customers, injured workers, injured people, to actually make their lives better and not worse. And I think most jurisdictions have the issue around just trying to recruit and retain people. And that's an issue in itself, but because we're in some respects so desperate to recruit and retain, we're in danger of just, I suppose, employing anyone we can to fill seats. But we need to actually really understand what are the competencies of the people that are going to do the job, and how do we understand where they have the gaps and how we can get them to the right level. So I think it's all captured in that phrase, duty of care, and I think you know, it's the bit that we've missed, I think, in the conversation in the last decade. So to me, having that national standards enables us to kind of recognise that, and then as an industry, fill the gap.
So what I'm hearing here too is that it's incumbent upon us as providers of this service to put at the front counter, which in our industry is not a counter, it's not an emergency room, it's usually a telephone, a person who's capable of being able to effectively deal with the issue that comes before them.
Yeah.
And that's what the standards are all about creating.
Yeah.
Now, it was interesting in the session, and there's an ongoing tension here between the amount of investment and effort to get people to a point of competency versus, and you alluded to it as well, the needs of the industry just to have people on seats, just to have people to answer the phone. And do you see that as going to be a real challenge for the effective implementation?
I think I can help answer that to a little way in that in New South Wales, because we have been implementing, I suppose we have the testing ground in which we can pilot things that work, things that are cumbersome. We can iterate and evolve with the needs of our scheme to make sure that we are safely mitigating against the very thing we're trying to protect. We're not just trying to protect the claim experience, which is of course in our heart of hearts. It is incumbent on us also to protect our employees who are at our highest risk of vicarious trauma, of burnout, of disengagement or disillusionment with what they came in to do, which was to help others, but then getting lost in not being able to drive their values valuably.
Yes.
So how do we do that? And the first way in which that we do that is that we partner with them authentically on the ground to understand, how does your business currently operate, i.e. what are the current QA processes and procedures that you have in place that you're already using to assess how people are going on their claim, because you already have these mechanisms. And we took the time to do the deep work. And deep work means help me to understand, what are those organic tasks that you do in this functional role every day? What are the common? Don't worry about complex right now. What are the common tasks that you do? Oh, you do a treatment review, you do rehab management, you do case conferences, you do XYZ. Okay, wonderful. How can we use these day-to-day tasks that you have as the evidence points for your assessment practice, so that you don't actually have to go over and above. You don't have to do something that is different or out of the ordinary. You just keep doing that good thing that you're doing, and I'm going to give you some really clear goalposts that you can kick that goal most of the time. And then if you aren't being able to kick that goal, I will be able to give you targeted support and help, because I can pinpoint specifically what are those competencies that you are having difficulty demonstrating in your day-to-day task. And I look at myself first as the business before I look to you as the employee. I say to myself, what are the business systems that I have in place to empower you to do this role? What are the processes that I have in place? What support services have I got in place for you? And that can be in the way of providing you with technical support and advice for regulatory compliance, for legislation, for injury management, and also what are the systems, the processes, the EAP, the immediate support services that you might need if you have a particularly difficult or emotionally trying call. What have I got for you?
And also, what haven't I got?
And what haven't I got?
So here's a list of competencies that I really do expect from you in your day-to-day role. I can't deliver this one to you. So it's nothing about you or your inability to do the job. It's about the support structures and processes and infrastructure in place that enables me to deliver it to you. So we work behind the scenes
to set you up for success.
Brilliantly,
but it does this now in a way that is targeted. So having that standardised competency analysis in New South Wales means that we're now the first jurisdiction that has credible baseline data to say specifically to each of our scheme participants, okay, icare frontline, these are your targeted gaps. You're doing great for these other standards. I just need you to focus your attention now here. And that's very helpful for me to operationalise, because instead of having to stretch my tools across the whole, I can just limit it to the thing in which I need support. So when we talk about drain on resources, when we talk about funding and things like that, I have a lot of empowerment to use my existing infrastructure to pool targeted performance uplift in these particular areas. And that's the advantage and the difference than just saying, oh, we want to deliver exceptional customer service. We're not quite sure what good looks like across the scheme.
Or what it means.
And I'm not really quite sure how we're being let down. But I do have some outcome metrics that are tied to my contract, such as CSAT results, such as return to work rates, and so on and so on. But these things are really lead and lag indicators of how the organisation is going across the whole. They are not a drill down indicator that tells me, yes, and in my pool, in my workforce, I have Jennifer, Bob and Harry that really need support with their soft skills, and I've got Caitlin and Rebecca that are fantastic and could be used as a coach.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, the theme today was the future of work. Declan, what's the future in your mind for the application and implementation of national standards?
Well, I think to me, it actually changes our industry. So I'm talking about our industry in a very broad sense here, but it's an industry that's always struggled to attract and retain. It's always an industry that has had an image problem. And we do have the joke, and Jo Saab said today, she happily says at a barbecue she works in workers' comp, but then has to explain exactly what it is. But to me, this will really give us an identity and an ability to be proud of an industry that we work in, where we actually do help people. And reputationally, I think being really specific about the types of people, the types of attributes, behaviours and skills that we want can only just make it a much more attractive industry to people. And layering on that now, we've got this whole move to digitisation. And I see AI and digitisation as enablers and supporting case managers. And so I think the national standards fit beautifully on top of that, because that's all about the person. That's all about the behaviours and attitudes and skills that they need, complemented by the digital assets that we have. And part of woven into that too is around their digital competency as well. So I see it as fitting nicely now as to where we're moving into the future. Yeah.
Well, thank you both for an excellent presentation today, and thank you for joining us in Studio PIEF.